The question we've kind of been asking ourselves and the question we've asked the listeners and the fans today is this a good deal?
Yeah, I mean, I guess there's a couple ways to look at it. I think it is because it is a market deal. It's a record-setting deal that also can simultaneously be what the market dictated. It's going to be record-setting for, 72 hours or a week or 2 weeks until Cole signs. So not because necessarily Cole has accomplished more than Strasburg, but because he's 2 years younger. He's 29, not 31, and that really, really matters. You're paying him through age 35 instead of through 37, like the Strasburg deal. But here's what I would say that's important for Nationals fans, and it has to do with how the club handled this. I'm not saying that it necessarily is more important that they re-sign Stephen Strasburg as opposed to Anthony Rendon. I think that's a great debate from a baseball perspective. But from the beginning of this process with both of them, Strasburg was always the one with a foot back in the door, and Rendon is always the one with a foot out the door. So if you mess up the one where you were kind of favored to land him because you were, the deferrals were too much, or you lowballed him, or you did some of the stuff that this club has kind of done in the past, then that would feel really monumental, like, oh, we blew it with the guy that we should have signed, the guy that should have been easier. Now, can we reel in Rendon, who feels like he's leaning elsewhere? That would have felt really, really bad. This feels like this is a guy that they drafted first overall in 2009. He was one of the only reasons for hope here from the day he was drafted. Years. He grew into a pitcher that, instead of being fragile, is a total stud and a postseason stud and hero. And they did it right. They said, you want to be here, we want you here. We understand why you opted out. It's not a slap in the face to us. It's a business decision that only makes sense for you. And this is a fair deal to keep you here. I think it's about the happiest ending they could have had.
Yeah, Barry, I'm with you. I don't think he was ever really seriously close to leaving. I'm sure he had discussions with Boris saying, go out and create, the market interest. We'll visit with a few teams, but I want to stay here with the Nats. I want to retire as a Washington National. I think that was probably the message that he gave to Boris, and Boris made it happen.
Yeah, and you can do that. What this shows is you can do that. You can get a deal that allows you to retire as a Washington National that also gets you a massive raise and more years. I talked to Stephen about the opt-out mid-season, and it's hard to remember what it was like in July or August. One, they were still fighting their way back from 1931. They hadn't won a World Series. You didn't know if they were ever going to win a World Series. It didn't necessarily feel like this was the team that was going to turn the corner. And his main point, it's easy to make this point midstream, was, look, the opt-out is I need to feel like I'm somewhere where we can win, where we're committed to winning. And if I don't get that feeling here, then maybe I would want to explore elsewhere, and then the Yankees enter the equation, or whoever, the Dodgers or the Angels. That all makes sense. Now he's looking back, and it's not only an organization that has committed the funds, actually that changes how you feel about a place. It doesn't mean you're not going to do the smart business thing, but I think you're right. He didn't go into this opt-out saying, wow, I wonder where else I could go. He went into it saying, the extension I signed was at a bit of a discount, give something to get something. Now I'm going to get my fair market rate. I would love for it to be with Washington. Let's see if we can work this out.
So do you think there's a 0% chance Rendon comes back, or is there still a fighting chance?
I don't think it's zero. So I think I would put it this way. If they don't bring Anthony Rendon back, it's not going to be just, as Mark Lerner said to NBC Sports Washington, because they could only afford one of the two guys. But let's be clear about that. Right. That is a choice that ownership would make. It's fine. It's their money. It's not our money. But it's not there's no salary cap. And it's not like Stephen Strasburg and Anthony Rendon would be just pure adds to an already large payroll. I mean, Strasburg's average annual value was $25 million before. It's $35 million now. So that's like adding a $10 million player. It's not nothing, but it's not a huge amount. Anthony Rendon didn't play last year for free. He made $18.8 million. So if he's going to make $35 million, yes, that's a huge increase, but it's not like you're adding $35 million to your payroll. As I said, I kind of feel like Rendon has had his foot out the door the whole time. He, unlike Strasburg, unlike Scherzer, he is really not into the deferrals thing. He feels like, why would I accept a deal where you get to invest my money when I should be making it and I don't get it till later? That's his choice. That's
Right.
a fair way to think. The Strasburg deferrals weren't extreme. That's the kind of deferrals that even other teams do. So do I expect Rendon to be back? I don't. Is it because they just simply can't afford him? No, I don't think it's that way.
Oh, yeah. I mean, that's just the wrong word for them to use. When you're worth $5 or $6 billion, they should have just said, we choose to only bring one back.
Right.